Hey everybody, welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture, to Alpha Flight Monday. Last week, we were introduced to the mystery of Marina in issue number 2 of Alpha Flight. This week, what does the comic hold in store for us? Well, for one thing, a really stunning cover. Gorgeous drawing of Aurora, with all these sort of, I don't know what they are, beams, rods, whatever, coming at her. All in black and white and really well done. That John Byrne guy knew what he was doing. So let's jump in to issue number 3 of Alpha Flight from October of 1983. Stan Lee presents Canada's greatest super team, Alpha Flight, in Yesterday Man. Beneath her roll, the great white... Oh. Let's try this again. Beneath her roll the great white lands of the far north. The smooth, unchanged blanket of snow Robert Service called Older Than History. Okay. A little more punctuation might have helped me there. Little altars in the face of the land. The wind blows, the snows shift to new patterns, but overall is an awesome sameness. The woman called Snowbird knows well that sameness. Her innermost memories dwell beyond human comprehension, somewhere in the realms of the gods, and she remembers the oldest snows. John Byrne, story and art. Tom Orzechowski, letterer. Andy Yankus, colorist. Denny O'Neil, editor. Jim Shooter, Tomorrow Man. So what's going on? So we got Snowbird flying over the snows of northern Canada. And she discovers a crash. And now if you remember last time, there was some kind of an alert, and she was heading off to find out what it was, while Alpha Flight was doing the same in the Omnijet. And she discovers it is the Alpha Flight skycraft. We were granted continued use of it even though we are no longer connected to the Canadian government on an official basis. It is badly damaged. Clearly it crashed here. But I think it was marred thus before impact. I neither see nor feel the touch of death here. However, many of Alpha Flight were aboard. They must all have survived the crash. But what could have caused it? I must know. Her strange, unhuman eyes slip closed. The stirring winds seem to pause, waiting. For a minute or more, she stands alone. Oh, she stands stone still, as the silence rolls across the land, and even those small creatures, which might be near, grow quiet. When at last her dark eyes open again, the fallen aircraft pulses with auras visible only to Snowbird. Good. The crash was recent enough for me to use my post-cognitive powers. Now we shall see. Oh, so we discover another power of Snowbird. We got our Star Frontiers ad. We got an ad for subscriptions to Marvel. 4 issues with titles ordered on this coupon only. All right. For a moment, nothing seems to happen. Then, with the suddenness of a thunderclap, the mask of time peels back. Before Snowbird's eyes, the events of the past hour reverse themselves like a spectral film running backwards through a ghostly projector. The image of the crash ship leaps skyward, yawing crazily as it arcs across the sky. So, hey, this is actually kind of a neat way to do a sort of recap of what's happened or what we haven't seen. It's through her precognitive powers. So she sees the 4 members of, the ship escape it as it crashes and head off, so she decides to follow them. And she does so in the form of a polar bear, until she finds this doorway. And she enters in, and half a mile ahead, looks like there's a little fight going on. Blast it, Guardian. We should be through this wall by now. It wasn't nearly this thick when it dropped. Keep at it, Sasquatch. The twins are still somewhere on the other side. I'm doing the best I can, friend, but this is something beyond plate work and conduit. I'd almost swear it's growing. Wow, that's interesting. So now we have Guardian and Sasquatch trying to rip their way through a wall in this bizarre complex. And North Star and Aurora are on this other side. And 3 feet away, I can feel vibrations through the wall. It must be Lankowski and Hudson trying to get through to us. But that wall keeps moving, growing, forcing us further away from them. Jean-Paul, the blackness frightens me. It's so total. It disturbs me also, sister. But for the illuminescence of our costumes, we would not even be able to see each other. Hey, that right there, that's cool. They got sort of glow-in-the-dark costumes. Mego just got a new Marvel license. So maybe if they make some Alpha Flight figures, they can do a little glow-in-the-dark on those two. That would actually look really good. And unfortunately probably be kind of expensive. So when they put their hands together, they create a great deal of light. And perfect white light bursts out, filling the vast chamber, driving away every shadow. Sapriste. Jean-Paul, what is this place? Where are we? That I do not know, Jean-Marie, but it is open this way. Come quickly. I follow where you lead, brother. But slowly, if we should strike a wall, but it is not North Star who strikes the wall. Rather, the wall strikes North Star. So these rods sort of come, or these come out of the wall and hit him and knock him out. And now you start seeing these things appearing all around Aurora. And just then, Sasquatch busts through and tears them all apart. Save the compliments until we get safely out of this, Squatch. Aurora, can you hear me? Are you okay? Aurora, where am I? What am I doing here in this shameless costume? I was with Jean-Paul in my chambers at the school. Oh no, I was afraid something like this might happen. She slipped back into her Jean-Marie persona. And so you remember in the first issue that Aurora is a split personality. And so one part of her is this very prim and proper school teacher, and the other part is this very fun-loving, sort of sexy superheroine who likes to show off her powers. And so, talking about characters not being psychologically prepared to being superheroes, she might be one of them. And so Sasquatch is a little confused. There's no time to explain. We need a bubblegum ad. I liked bubblegum. Oh, pink lemonade. I remember that one. So, meanwhile, North Star awakens and finds that his sister is gone. And he hears this screaming. And he goes, no, that's not my sister's voice. Of course, it's Marina. The very reason we are in this mad place. I must find her. So now we know for sure, and you could have probably figured that out. They are in the Master's complex, and he is seemingly torturing Marina. It's a great piece of art. She's on this sort of, it's not quite a table, but you get the idea with all these things. He's sitting on this throne above her. This was my doing, child. The tearing you have felt within your mind came from the vessel surrounding us. You have lived upon this spinning globe for 20 years now. The time of reckoning is fast approaching. But you are still confused, are you not? I wonder how I came to be here, a human in your most... Oh, you wonder how I came to be here, a human in your most sacred sanctuary. Perhaps I shall tell you my story. Yes, it would be good after so long to share my tale. Also, it would help all the readers to figure out what is going on, even with a monster like yourself. 40,000 years ago, an unending winter lay upon the world. People, beasts, plants perished in uncounted millions. But some were strong. Some sought other lands where winter might not touch, where summer might still reign. So he was what they would maybe call a Paleo-Indian, a hunter-gatherer. Of course, if you're up kind of at the North Pole, you're probably looking for summer in the wrong spot. And so So all these people are out, hunting, gathering, trying to find a better place to live. Um, but one person decides to head south, following the shrinking sun, until one day, for no logical reason, he decides. Oh, so they were all going south, so he decides to go north. North, and ever further north he trekked, drawn by an inner madness, a siren call that tugged relentlessly at his soul. Others had also been called. Their rotted corpses fed him on his journey until he discovers this strange complex. So this is 40,000 years ago that this happened. So this thing has been there for a very long time. And it brings him in, and it messes with his mind and with his body, and he becomes the master. So he used to be this hunter-gatherer, now he's the master. Yes, Marina, your origins lie within this vessel, and beyond Earth. You, too, have waited many thousand years for the time to ripen, for the hour of conquest to begin. But I am first and foremost a human being, Marina. I do not wish to rule a world of fish things. It is therefore necessary that you and your broodmate, when I locate him, be destroyed, so that I may at last assume my rightful role, master of the world. I think not, masked one. So Alpha Flight has found them? No. It's the Submariner and the Invisible Girl. If you have plans of world conquest, friend, you will find a planet full of beings who will oppose your mad schemes. And here are two of them, ready to put a quick stop to you before you even get started. All right, so, confused, reader? You won't be if you pick up Fantastic Four number 260 on sale in 30 days. Then head right back to these pages for the sense-shattering secret of Marina and the Master. Ooh, so, I'm going to have to go ahead and find Fantastic Four number 260 and maybe so I can do like a quick overview of it. So the backup feature is, of course, the origins of Alpha Flight. Excuse me. And so Mac decides to go visit Heather. He's got his little cyber helmet with him. And they're going to chat. And they decide to go talk to Canada's government. And, see what they can arrange with them. And so they get to meet the Prime Minister. Bonjour, Dr. Hudson. I have a project here which I think may interest you. It's called Kool-Aid Man, the video game. And so, basically, this is where he gets this funding for Department H. For 3 long, tiring, and altogether glorious years, he plunges headfirst into the creation of Department H, the super-secret research and development arm of the Ministry of Defense. The maverick scientist finds other mavericks, other mutants, moments of genius seeking the proper channel to grow. In the midst of it comes Hudson's greatest success and greatest failure, the mutant super agent codenamed Wolverine. Sometime in those first few months, he also finds a moment to marry. So he does get married to Heather. And so this is the point where the Fantastic Four first come to prominence. It's all over TV and the radio, too. It's fantastic. Reed Richards, I've heard of him. He's reputed to be the most brilliant scientist on Earth. And 3 others, bombarded by cosmic rays, transformed into, what's this the paper calls them? Superheroes. That's it. At that moment, James Hudson finds the one element missing from Department H. He and the score of scientists who worked with him find purpose. For the next 6 years, Hudson's every waking moment is turned to his ultimate project, a project that leads ultimately to his becoming, somewhat against his will, Guardian, first of Alpha Flight. How's that for a sneaky way of giving you the first official Alpha Flight pinup from Denny? So there we go. Remember that? You used to have pinups in comics. And now comics are 90% pinups with very little story. So there we go. We get Wolverine showing up. We also know that in sort of Marvel continuity, because you have that idea of time, just rolling ever forward, now how do I put this? That time in the comic books obviously doesn't follow time on our world. So the Fantastic Four, which was first published in the 1960s, and this is 20 years later, apparently was, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago. It's sort of weird the way they do time here, but you don't get the advancement of characters like you normally would, which also makes perfect sense. And they tried to do that in the new universe, and I think it did hurt their ability to tell stories quite a bit. I'll probably get into that in a different video when I review DP7. Okay, so issue number 3. Alpha Flight goes into the base of the Master of the World, who is a hunter-gatherer from 40,000 years ago, who was altered by this alien ship that crashed up at the North Pole, and it is linked to Marina, and apparently she has a brood mate out there somewhere in the oceans. And the two of them seem to be maybe destined to conquer, take over the world, remove humanity, which the Master does not want. So he wants to kill both of them. And he is surprised when he says this by the entrance not of Alpha Flight, who are in the complex, but rather the Submariner and Invisible Woman. So there we go. That's issue number 3. Coming up next week, great cover. Marina strapped to the earth with a hand gripping it. I don't think that's exactly what we're going to be seeing in the issue, but we're going to get a continuation of the Marina saga. So there we go. Okay, if you enjoyed this video, if you're enjoying these videos on Alpha Flight, please think about subscribing, maybe give it a like, maybe share it with some friends. In the meantime, God bless everybody. Try to be kind to one another out there, folks, and try to have some fun. And I'll see you next time in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.